Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the food experience. Today's experience gonna make a loaf of white bread in the Kalorik Maxx air fryer oven grill edition. You could use the regular version of the Max or the grill version, it really doesn't matter. I've already made white bread before with this same silicone pan and it worked out pretty good. I'm going to use a slightly different recipe this time. And without further ado, let's get it started. First thing to add is warm water, warm milk, yeast, and sugar. Whisk that together. Now if you're using instant dry yeast, you could go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients. If you're using active dry yeast, I would cover this and wait 5 minutes. Add the room temperature butter and approximately 1 cup of the flour. I'm starting off with a paddle attachment. Lower it, start off on low, and then work your way up to medium. Turn it off once everything is incorporated and add the remaining flour. Start off slow so you don't get a big poof of flour in the air. And go ahead and raise the speed a little bit. After about a minute, stop and then scrape down the sides of the bowl. Make sure there's no flour or anything else left on the side. Back down and return to medium speed. That'll roughly take around 2 minutes. And you'll notice the dough kind of forms all together on the paddle. Pulling the dough off of the paddle, and it's definitely very sticky at this point. You may have to add some more flour, which I'm going to add a tiny bit of. Just add a little at a time. You don't want to add too much. I'm fitting the mixer with the dough hook. Put it down and go on low speed. Let's scrape everything off the side. It's definitely looking better now, I'll say. Going to low 2. You want to do this for around 3 minutes, which is actually kneading the dough. Otherwise, you could do it by hand. Turn off the mixer. It should come off the dough hook pretty clean. It's going to be a bit tacky, but it shouldn't be too bad. Flour your work surface. Turn out the dough. The dough's looking pretty dang good, I'll say. You could further knead it if you needed to add more flour. It's looking great right now, as is though. Using some non-stick cooking spray, put your dough in the bowl and maybe make it go around so it gets a little bit of coating of oil so it doesn't dry out. I have plastic wrap and I'm going to spray it with a little bit of oil and cover the bowl. Over to the Max, wake it up. Oven, proof. I'm going to set it at 105. Start her up. Default time is 1 hour. I'm increasing it to 1.5 hours. But I definitely will check it at the hour point. Make sure the wire rack is at the lowest position and insert your dough and close her up. It's been about 1 hour and I'm removing it. It definitely has risen and probably a little more than double in size. Punch down the dough and then turn it out onto your work surface. Yeah, it definitely seems like it's perfect. It feels like a little tacky, but it's not sticking to me really. So, yeah, I think I'm digging that. Next step is to make this into an 8 by 15 piece of dough. Doesn't have to be perfect. Fortunately, my work surface has measurements. I applied a little bit of flour to my rolling pin. That's looking pretty good. It's about 8 inches wide, maybe a little bit more than 15, but you want to roll it up. Grab a 9 by 5 loaf pan and butter it so that all the sides and the bottom have butter. And this will help prevent it from sticking on the way out. Grab the dough, put it seam side down in the pan. Make sure to kind of tuck it in a little bit. Make sure that seam is down. Hey, kind of looks like a burrito. Doing a second rise, I'm going to use tin foil. It's actually around 85 degrees in my kitchen, so I'm just going to leave it out. And the dough should actually come up a little bit above the pan. It will take around an hour for the second rise. The dough is almost done with the second rise. Time to preheat your max. Oven mode, leave it on bake. I'm going to set the time a bit higher than I need and reduce the temperature to 350 and start it up. You also want to make sure that the rack is still in the lowest position, bake 1. There's what we're looking at with the dough. I'm kind of concerned around here and here. There's still a crease from when I rolled it. Hard to say if that's going to affect anything. Looks like it's rising pretty good. Trying to even it out just a bit. It was a little higher on this side. Looks a bit more even now. Alright, the preheat is complete. Took about 3.5 minutes. Inserting the loaf. I would position it about halfway back, close the doors, and I'm readjusting the time for 35 minutes. The instructions did mention that if the loaf is getting brown on top, to cover it with aluminum foil. Yeah, it's definitely browning, but it's not burnt. Carefully put it back in. And I'm setting the timer for 13 minutes. It's been going a total of 31 minutes. I think it's time to remove it. Looks pretty good. Let's check the internal temperature. Definitely needs to go back in. It's around 174. I think it needs to be around 195. Back in it goes. I'm not going to use the aluminum foil this time. It's not too dark on the top, so should fare okay. And I'll set it at 5 minutes. Cycle is complete. Retemp it again. Almost there, but not quite. Putting it back in. Start up oven mode again. 350. And I'll go for another 5 minutes. Alright, time's up. Let's remove it again. Pretty sure it's going to be done this time. 196 is where we're at. Perfect. I'm letting it cool down for about 15-20 minutes, then I'll remove it with you guys. It's been about 15 minutes. Let's see if the loaf comes out. Oh yeah, no problem at all. It definitely still is very warm. So I'm going to let it finish cooling off before we slice into it. Definitely feels a little cooler now, but it's still pretty dang warm, I'll say. Cutting right in the middle with a bread knife. That's what I'm looking at, and wow, it is like super spongy, I'll say. Try to cut off a couple slices. I switched knives. Let me see if this one could cut through it. It's got a nice crust on top. Not bad at all. Going to the Blackstone, setting it at 375. Soon as that heats up, I'll show you my idea. You're probably thinking, what is Andy doing? Well, let's lay down some butter. Bread. Yeah, they're toasting. Put down a little more butter. Ham. Some cheese. Close it up for a minute. I think that's just about going to do it. That's what I'm looking at. That's definitely looking pretty good. Let's go back up top and I'll sample it with you guys. Welcome back, everybody. I've been munching on one of the pieces. Really good. Kind of spongy, soft. Has a little bit of crust from the top, but not too much. Last loaf I made, I don't know, it was about a year ago, maybe a little less. The crust was like way too hard on it. The only thing that I wanted to do that I didn't do is brush the top with butter, but it's neither here nor there. Now for the sandwich. Wow, that is a super tasty sandwich. Bread absolutely works great for grilled cheese. I think tomorrow morning I'm going to try to make French toast with it, see how it does with that. But I think we're done for now. So what I'm going to do is in the description down below, I'm going to put a link back to where I found the recipe over at Sally's Baking Addiction. And definitely check it out over there. All the ingredients are listed there. The recipe, a complete tutorial video of hers. Highly recommend it. She has an awesome page. So if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, drop me a line down below. I love hearing from you guys. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I got all kinds of good things coming up. So until next time, take care, have a stellar day, be excellent, and remember me. I'm KJ Andy O, your food experience host with the most. Y'all take care, and I'll see you next time.